to order.
Mr. Bernstein.
Here.
Mrs. Lasky.
Here.
Mrs. Mayor.
Here.
Mrs. Sears.
Here.
And Ms. Menzel.
To stand for pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to move, if you have your agenda, we're going to move letter C down a bit, giving the other fellow a chance to maybe get here. Who's that? Oh, there she is.
We can go right now, actually.
Okay, right in the nick of time. Good.
So, Mr. Hogue, you want to join us up here and present to our Board of Education two of our most stellar of students?
Yes, sir, Mr. Higgins.
All right.
I have the official press release from National Merit, so I'd like to make it official. Two Independence High School seniors were named commended scholars by National Merit Scholarship Corporation. Seniors Kyle McGovern and Drew Straub have earned the status of commended scholars as recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation. This accomplishment means that Drew and Kyle both had scores in the top 50,000 out of the 1.3 million students that took the PSAT fall of 2021. There were approximately 1,000 commended scholars in the state of Ohio this year. Kyle participates on the varsity soccer, cross-country, swim, and track teams. He's also a member of Actively Caring for People, Positive School Climate Initiative, the Board Game Club, National Honor Society, M3, Music Honor Society, Bio Society, and Campus Life. He will be attending Vanderbilt University with plans to study environmental science and business. He is here with his mother, Lee Carmichael. Drew Straub participates in varsity soccer and track. He is a member of the Blue Devil Marching Band, as well as Actively Caring for People, Bio Society, Board Game Club, Mock Trial, and Academic Challenge. Drew is also an Eagle Scout. After being awarded the prestigious Eminence and Stamp Scholarship, Drew will be attending The Ohio State University in the fall. He is here with his mother, Linda Straub.
Drew and Kyle, I know, full ride scholarships are nice and nice plaques and all that stuff, but the board and I got you Chipotle gift cards. So we're really talking good stuff there. So congratulations, guys. Thanks for listening. So, and on top of the academic accolades and the athletic and the student organization, all that, just two great human beings. So you make Independence, you make Ohio, you make our country a better place to be, and you make us proud. So thank you guys. Great job.
I'm so proud of you. Good job.
I think that was your kindergarten teacher, right? she gave you that jump on. And I know you guys have homework. I know you have all that. No senioritis or anything. You're still working. Stay if you'd like. Also, if you sneak out, no one will judge you. Okay, so.
Okay.
You got 8 tests to study. That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, preliminary procedure approval of recording of the previous meetings. So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Lasky.
Yes.
Mr. Bernstein. Yes. Mrs. Mayor.
Yes.
Mrs. Sears.
Yes.
Ms. Menzel.
Yes. Treasurer, finance reports.
Finance update, we received our final settlement in mid-March. And as our revenue went, we saw some increases in our collections. Several factors. Collection rate was up. Delinquencies, if you remember in the fall forecast, we had a really high delinquency rate that people then in the spring would caught up or trued up their delinquencies. So that was a bump in the collections. And then our refunds, I estimate refunds that we, from Board of Revision, Board of Tax Appeal complaints, I project about 350,000 each year. We were right about 200,000, so we had less refunds that we paid back to taxpayers for valuation reductions. So overall, the revenue was up, and then our expenditures, which is a good thing, but then our expenditures are also up. Our salaries are up, trending about 1.8%. A lot of benefits. Part of it is we had people move from a single or didn't have insurance into family plans that increased the cost. And then on the salary side, we had a lot of movement, educational movement up the salary schedule, which caused the increase. And then with that, you have your Medicare and all the other payroll benefits that go with increased salaries. So increased retirement on that. So, but overall, in the fall, we projected about $1 million deficit. Probably we're just now putting together, we've been working on the forecast and fine tuning it. Probably anywhere from 400,000 deficit to maybe 600,000 deficit, just depending how the year ends here on expenses. Purchase services is up slightly and expected also, just cost of doing business is going up with it. That's my report.
Okay. Public participation. Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to approve the finance reports? So moved.
Second. Mrs. Lasky?
Yes.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Merrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Sears?
Yes. Yes. Public participation in board meeting is the House of the Independence Board of Education. Hear public comment at board meetings. Public is invited to speak to any of the agenda items and other school topics at this time. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Okay.
First, a shout out to Mrs. Menzel, the ones that I looked at, we had on my kids, for $10, 20 years plus ago. So actually, I have 3 questions.
Tell us your name first. so
Oh,
we
I'm
have-
sorry, my apology, Mike Zuber.
Mike Zuber. Thanks, Mike.
A couple questions here, I just want to get a feedback and understand what's going on. So, the first question, was there a high school assembly asking students to write letters to Biden, asking him to stop drilling oil in Alaska? I understand there's extra credit if the kids were to send in letters to, it's a question.
I will find that out and get back to you. I would be surprised now if they were current events, but I don't have an answer, but I'll find that out and I'll get back to you specifically.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. And maybe more generally, there's something about this anti-oil agenda. Not speaking for anybody else, it's political indoctrination. I don't like it. It's my personal feeling, it's my personal opinion. In these cars right now, there's Russian oil, believe it or not. Stopping oil drilling in the United States doesn't do anything. Okay, that's my opinion. I'm not asking anybody to agree with it or debate it. But I do want to know that that's something that's being taught or pushed or politicized, and certainly it's incentivized in this school. Okay? Is that fair?
Yeah, I'll get back to you.
All right. I'll give you my phone number and everything afterwards. The second question, there was a recent school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee, with 3 kids and 3 adults were murdered by someone who identified as transgender. The question is very specific. Was there a high school assembly asking students to wear clothing with the transgender community rainbow colors to support the transgender community?
I know the answer to that.
Okay.
The answer is no, that was not a high school assembly. Two weeks ago, President Biden put an announcement out on the Transgender Day of Visibility. And so a student group, our Gay Straight Alliance, said, hey, our student groups oftentimes will share messages. We're red for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And so a student group did share a color to support transgender rights. We didn't have an assembly to do that. A student group, which we want to empower our students with perspectives, did share that message.
Okay, so I don't want to speak for anybody. The high school students that I know feel that they were coerced and forced to support that. Okay, and I think that's crossing the line. Okay, now again, I'm speaking for myself. I'm speaking for nobody else. The things I'm hearing about the chaos are very troubling. Okay, it's very troubling. Again, my opinion. I don't know the details. But I trust the 2 kids that are telling me this, the good top students here, something doesn't feel good. Okay? That's it. All right? Third thing, I'm pleased to see the acknowledgement of 2 high-performing students. Here, when my kids went to school here, there was a public assembly, there was a whole process they went through. I'm hearing, and this is a question, that the top 10 students are no longer publicly recognized as no valedictorian, salutatorian. Is that true? Is that true or not true?
Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
So within the past 5 years, there's been changes in the state law, and it's on weighted grades. And so we used to have weighted grades for AP classes, which were a weighted, and then college credit plus classes also were established as weighted the same way. And so the GPA concept became convoluted. And so a few years ago, we changed board policy to go to the Latin honor system, which most of your colleges are going to go to as well, where we have the summa cum laude and the magna cum laude. And so our top 10, it morphed into a summa cum laude recognition. So we're still recognizing that. There are a few more students, actually it's 18 or 19 students that qualify for that this year. But because we had a situation where kids were disincentivized from taking classes at the high school because it was a 4.0 as opposed to a 5.0 weighted college credit plus. So CCP course, which I'm not saying doesn't have value, was more valuable than a rigorous course here, and it changed the currency of the system. So about 3 years ago, we changed that and went to the Latin honor system. So we're still recognizing academic excellence. It's a little more encompassing. We have a few more kids that qualify for that this year. That'll fluctuate as we go. But we wanted to keep the integrity of the student excellence as opposed to disincentivizing kids from taking courses the way it was and through the rankings.
And that's fair, and I do recognize and understand that you're all walking a very strange and, but honestly, I'm thankful that I'm not in your situation. It's a tightrope. I get that, I understand that. I would ask that your customer, which is your students here, need to come out prepared for life. I would ask that you would, I'm assuming you are, but I'm getting the feedback that it's not happening. The students, especially some of those top students, ask about, are you being recognized? It's not a feelings thing. Okay? I understand what you're saying. Something's missing. I have 2 high school kids that I know pretty well, and I trust their instinct. Granted, they're 17 years old. They've been on the planet for 17 years, so they have that 17-year perspective. I get that. But what they're saying is chaos, and they're not learning anything. This is part of the reason I'm here tonight. I should have been here a lot longer than this. I'm saying all the other meetings too. It's incredibly troubling. Furthermore, they feel that they are not empowered to be able to say something. They are actually afraid. Their parents are afraid to come here and articulate something. So I don't know the answer, but there's some sort of gap, something wrong is going on, which leads to my last thing, and I'm probably at my 3-minute mark here.
You are.
Okay, then I'll make it quick.
Okay.
There's one last thing that's very troubling. The 8th grade student body, a large number of them have decided for one reason or another, whether it's religious, whether it's whatever, are not coming to the 9th grade here. Okay? That itself is a red flag. I don't know the reason for it. The parents that I've talked to are afraid to say anything. They're petrified. They think that there's going to be some retribution against them. I have no skin in the game. My kids are long gone from here. I love the community and the health of the schools and the health of the community. It's all integrated together. I get that, okay? But there's some sort of canceled weirdness, chaos that's going on that needs to be stopped. Or I can guarantee you what's going to happen with this pending levy. It's going to fail miserably. I'm speaking for myself. I'm speaking for nobody else. It's my opinion, and that's it. With that, I would like to thank you all for at least hearing me out. So sorry for going over.
Is there anything else they would like to speak?
Yeah, I have a question, Jim Ryan.
Okay.
Eric, what's the, your yearly budget for the school? Like how many, just rough, like 20 million?
General fund, about, about 20 million.
20? How much money do you get from the federal government?
Less than 5%.
So,
From our state funding, less than 5%. From federal, about 1.4, 1.5% federal money, excluding all the ESSER money, because that was a bubble, a blip because of the COVID money. But
so
regular
let's just
day.
say, so if you get $200,000 from the federal government, what
Okay.
are if you refuse that money, could you not follow some of the federal things that are forced down upon school districts? Could you say, you know what, we don't have to follow that. We don't need that $200.
That's a bigger question than I can answer. I mean, I don't,
Because,
I can do some research and get back with you on that.
okay. Like if you came to me and said, hey, Jim, we'd like you to pay an extra $500 a year, but we don't have to follow all these mandates, this and that, I'd do it. And I think a lot of people in the community would do it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that easy, but I can do some checking for you.
Because I think you should control, the community should control the school, not the federal government. And I think some things have gotten out of your hands that make it difficult, where you're forced to make decisions and do things that affect the community. And I think it's a small minority going to the federal government and asking for things that the majority of people don't feel that you guys should, that we should have to do that. Okay, yeah, you can let me know.
Okay, I'll see what I can find out for you.
Okay, anyone else?
Michelle Greedy. I want to ask a question. I've heard a lot of talk. My girls are both out of the high school and graduated last year in 2020. I've heard from many parents and many students about a transgender student using female restrooms in high school. I was wondering if we could address that issue from a safety standpoint for not just the transgender student, but also for the female students. And then I have a couple of quick follow-up questions, issues that I'd like to appeal to you, because parents are afraid to come here and speak out on behalf of their students, because their kids might get called a bigot for standing on their own principles, and they're afraid to do it. That shouldn't be this way in America. As far as I checked, we still have the freedom of speech. They shouldn't be afraid to come in here. My daughters wanted to come because they're two girls, and they don't like what they see here, and they're also two voters. So if anybody could speak to that, I'd like to know what's going on, because I hear a lot in the community, but I want to hear it from the board, the principal. We need to know.
And I assume a lot of the questions, and Mr. Riley, similar question. We do have transgender students in the independent local schools, and every public school district in Ohio does. And we work really hard to help everybody feel like they're part of our school system. And that's important to us. That's really important to us as a community. There are very specific federal laws in place, Title IX, Title VII, the 6th District Court of Appeals, and the law is clear that it is considered discrimination against a student or employee based on their gender identity or sexual orientation. That's unlawful discrimination, and the law is clear that they are to use the facilities with which they identify. That's a very relevant, topic in the media and society today, and one of the things I know our principals and our counselors spend a lot of time trying to help everybody feel like they belong, trying to help everybody feel safe, and understanding that sometimes those can be conflicting. And that's, I want to give Annie McGee and Jamie Hogue a big accolade and just say thank you. I know this has been a very significant part of your work. Again, most importantly, helping everyone feel like this is a safe place for them to go. I don't like hearing that people are uncomfortable coming and talking. We need to hear that, and I hate hearing that. It hurts to hear that. Mr. Hogue, I'm going to ask you to talk for a minute, if you could, just about some of the nuances of how you've tried to work through that. And again, the law is clear. There are also states that have put other laws in place. Ohio is not one of them. I, as a superintendent, do not want our school board or my stage to be one that is trying to influence federal and state policy. I feel like that's divisive, and that's going to be, I don't want to make us versus them, especially in our student body. And so I really appreciate Mr. Hogue's approach, and I'll let him share some of that now.
Yeah, so we've had some transgender students here over the past few years. and when I say transgender students that are just any part of the LGBTQ plus spectrum community. And, you know, it's always different how the issue comes to light. A lot of times, maybe they open up to their parents, and their parents let us know. Sometimes they open up to a counselor, and it comes out that way. We'll invite parents in, if that's what the student wants. You know, we as a school don't find out everything a kid says in a counselor's office. There's confidentiality, and that might seem a little bit different to you. You know, when I was a teacher, I didn't really realize that. When I became an assistant principal, I did. At first, I thought, well, I don't know if I like that. But then, as I saw how it worked, that's the key to running a good school, is to make sure you have a very trusting relationship between your counselors and your students, so the kids feel safe, so the kids can come to school and learn. We have a student body that's been somewhat traumatized by some of the events that have happened in the last 3 or 4 years. So we really focused on the idea of trying to meet every student where they are, try to make sure they all feel safe and welcome here, regardless of personal politics, regardless of what I think, the teachers think, or any of our employees think, or any of our students think outside of school. We're not agreeing with people, we're not affirming people, we're just accepting. So we have students that have come to us and said they like to use different pronouns, and so there's a change of pronouns. At times, these students have used a personal restroom because they don't feel comfortable using the restroom that would be their biological birth or biological gender. We have private restrooms throughout the office and in the hallway. We've offered those not just to transgender students or LGBTQ plus students, but any student. If a student doesn't feel comfortable in a public restroom, we want them to feel comfortable. They can always come to the office. We can always find any kind of restroom situation that makes them comfortable. The latest thing that happened was we do have a transgender student. And again, she has been a part of our schools since before 9th grade, has talked to counselor, talked to her parents, decided she wanted to tell us something. I knew that mom was involved. We had a parent meeting. Information was exchanged. At that time, the student, and I checked with the student today, I told him that this might happen tonight at the board meeting, and she said it would be okay for me to give you some information. Mom and student said they both understood that there might be female students in the school that would be uncomfortable using a restroom with a transgender student. This student said she did not feel comfortable using a public male restroom and did not feel comfortable using an office restroom. And so she wanted to use a public female restroom. What we agreed with this student was if we could use one of our 3 female public restrooms, there would be 2 female public restrooms that a female student could use, where they wouldn't have to, have that anxiety of running into a transgender student in the restroom, because we want all of our students to feel safe. The difficulty in this is that we can't blast that out as an email or a public announcement, because that violates people's privacy. So we tried to handle the matter as delicately as we could, with as much compassion as we could. We certainly let female students know as soon as we could, as discreetly as we could, that, hey, if you don't want to have an uncomfortable encounter in the bathroom, if this is something you're worried about, please use one of the other restrooms. What I'll say is, we have students in the school that this is not an issue to at all, female students, and some it's a very big issue. And we're compassionate to all of them and everyone in between. And again, anyone that wants to use a private restroom, we'll let that happen. But we're just trying to make sure that the school is a safe and welcoming place for every student.
Can I ask you a quick question to follow up?
I'm not real comfortable with us doing a Q&A in a town hall unless Joni would like that. The other thing that, and we'll follow up with these questions, but even, the back and forth is something that as a board is not something that we're typically doing. So if you're addressing the president or me with that, I'm happy to get answers for everybody here, but I don't want our board meetings to transition into that.
I think so, but the focus is we are here to help you, help the students succeed. I think with your blessing or your whatever, I don't know about other people, I would like to share something with you that I think is going to be helpful.
I'll tell you what, I'll stay around after the meeting.
Okay.
Listen, guys, this is what I would say to you. We had a PTO meeting. I sat there and answered the PTO questions until they were done. Mrs. McGee and I are at every extracurricular event, every concert, every sporting event possible. Anytime somebody wants to talk, I really can't believe if they've come up to me once that they would think that their opinion wasn't welcome, or that I mean, I'll talk to anybody. I had parents call me on the phone. I had people call me on the phone or email me that aren't even, living in Independence anymore, but are from Independence, and I talk to them about it. Because I think it's important for people to know that this isn't a matter of personal politics. It's a matter of doing what's best for people and following.
And so I don't want to not answer questions. I just know that this isn't necessarily the forum for that. But I did want to, again, address the federal law and us doing our best to follow that. I can tell you that if as a superintendent, I have us follow policies that, if we don't follow this, the Office of Civil Rights, we would lose every single challenge all day long. And that's poor leadership. That's poor stewardship. I won't do that. We also want to make sure everybody feels like they have a safe place here. I can share with you, and Mr. Dreiling, I don't know if this is relevant yet, that Mr. Dreiling has met with architects. We're in process of a pretty simple bathroom renovation where, if you go to Starbucks, or I even heard Chick-fil-A's are doing them now, it's just a bathroom, just gender neutral, private bathrooms. And so we're gonna look to do that for everyone's privacy. I have a high school student at home that doesn't use the bathroom at school at all and will wait all day and come home, and that's not healthy for anybody either. And so we want to make sure that we're putting those things in place. And so I wanted to at least have some of those statements. I don't want to not answer questions. We will absolutely take the time to do that. I just want to make sure it's in the right setting.
Can I just finish up with
Okay,
tail end comments? I don't think I spoke for 3 minutes.
no, I think two and a half.
I get the Title IX thing, totally. I've done research on the law, and I understand. I want transgender kids to feel safe. I want the girls to feel safe, I want the guys to feel safe. So just make a bathroom for the transgender kids. Make a bathroom for the girls, make a bathroom for the boys. Solves all that problem. Problem that I see coming down the line, and this isn't in Title IX, about boys using the girls' locker rooms to change. Got a big problem with that.
Yep.
And boys playing on girls' sports team.
Yep.
So that will eliminate female sports. We've seen it in the NCAA. We need to stop the train before it gets here. So if we need to make separate class or categories for sports for transgender kids, separate for girls, separate for boys, then we need to do that. Because you can't let the rights of one student override the rights of the other. And that's what I see happening here. That's what a lot of parents see happening here. And yes, parents are willing to give their opinion, but they are afraid because their children have been berated, not by just students here, but teachers here. My daughter had that happen to her, so I know firsthand that it will happen. And that's why people are afraid to come here and speak. And that's a big problem. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Isn't there a gender neutral bathroom here at the high school? Oh, I thought there was one. My kids seem to think there is one.
We have private bathrooms. We have plenty of bathroom, office bathrooms up there. They're technically staff bathrooms. They do have, we open those up to any kid who needs a private bathroom. And again, we have kids with medical diagnoses that have to use private bathrooms. And we want all of our kids to be able to do that, so.
I mean, I just know this has not been an issue for the couple of years that I've been in the school. And now with one person, it's an issue.
We've had multiple students who have identified as transgender.
Yeah, it's my understanding they use a gender neutral bathroom.
Well, private bathrooms, so we offer private facilities, and the law says that they have to be allowed to use the bathroom with which they identify. So we try to plan with each family and with each student what that looks like. We also know what the law says, and again, the Office of Civil Rights would be all over that, and that's just our reality of that. These are state and federal laws that we're trying to navigate through. I will tell you that as a superintendent, I read every single court case. I can talk to you about the parental rights bill going on right now in Maine. It's at the Maine Supreme Court. The Supreme Court decision in the West Virginia courts where the Supreme Court put a stay in place. Michelle talking about the transgender competition. We obviously fall under OHSAA, Ohio High School Athletic Association guidance. Those aren't independent decisions. The OHSAA has a very robust, if you will, transgender competition policies in there, that they work through that, and those things are, again, state level. I understand all your concerns with that. Those are all legitimate things. The locker room, there's a little more say in terms of private facilities and areas. We haven't had to cross that bridge yet, but I understand everything that everyone's saying and sharing on that. And we want to provide facilities where everyone feels comfortable and safe, everyone. And that's something, again, I want to thank Jamie and Annie for the hours and hours and hours of conversations, of calls, of talking, of doing that challenging work, and trying to make places where everyone feels that. And of course, we have to follow the OHSAA regulations on transgender competition. I can tell you briefly, if you're a transgender male, you can compete in anything. Transgender female, there are actual checks, there are physician or medical examinations and a competitive balance approach to that. It's very complicated, but it's all there and clear on OHSAA's website, and we have to follow those regulations.
I know, but Mr. Thompson, who swam against the girls' collegiate level on the NCAA, was tested rigorously and passed under the guidance of the institution, and he still beat every single girl. And those girls invested their whole lives in swimming.
Because the result is women are now second-class citizens. That's the facts. That is the facts.
And that's what citizens are not happy about, especially those of us who have daughters.
I have a question.
Okay, we need to, did you want to?
Is there a process in place in Independence that when the student comes in and wants to identify as a transgender, different sex, that they have to go through some kind of a process? Like today, I'm a boy, and tomorrow I want to say I'm confused with women's restroom. Is there a process in place, medically or something, that the school knows about this rather than just do it as a whim?
So what we typically, or have never seen, are, Ben and Frank in high school saying, let's go in the girls' locker room, something like that. I don't say that in jest. These are typically students who have done a lot of the work with their families, with their parents. Bringing the families in is one of the most important things that our staff work on. Oftentimes, students are seeking medical through this, and so we come alongside them and meet them where they are. We don't have a checklist. We don't have a punch card where you have to get a punch card or anything like that. We come alongside to try to help. We aren't encouraging, we aren't recruiting, we're supporting, and just meeting them where they are. I know that maybe doesn't answer your question.
No, it should be a process.
What is your last name, please?
Remish. Thank you for that.
Okay. Moving on. Under new business, resolution 2023-48, accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county fiscal officer.
This is a routine procedure that we set the tax budget into the Budget Commission. They establish what the millage rate will be for our fixed sum levies, which are our emergency levies, and our bond issue, that's our bond levy that's out there for the current high school here. And depending on valuations up or down, they can adjust the millage up and down, and then authorizes them, establishes the need, and authorizes them to collect the taxes and then submit them back to us.
Okay, can I have a motion? Someone,
Second. Mrs. Lasky?
yes.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Merrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
Ms. Menzel?
Yes. Resolution 2023-49, Ohio Schools Council governance policy change.
And then did you?
Sorry.
Did you explain?
Yeah, so Ohio Schools Council is essentially a purchasing consortium. So we're a member of OSC, everything from fuel prices that are discounted, think like your Costco card, you get a bulk purchasing discount. And OSC is that for school districts, very advantageous to be part of. This is simply a governing policy change where they used to have a vote for any of their policy updates that it would be the officer in attendance. So if somebody went to the meeting, they could vote for the district. This is saying that it has to be a superintendent to vote. So it's just kind of a higher level examination on any of their policy changes. So OSC is a unbelievable advantageous thing for us as a
Yeah,
school
we use them
district.
for bus purchases, we use them for natural gas co-op purchasing, electric purchasing, they bid it out for us. They do a lot of services if we need repairs on things, they may have contracts for it or vendors that they are under state bid contracts, so.
Can I have a motion?
Second.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Lasky?
Yes.
Mrs. Merrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
And Ms. Menzel?
Yes. Resolution 2023-50, acceptance of then and now purchases.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Lasky?
Yes.
Mrs. Merrick?
Yes.
Mr. Bernstein? Mrs.
Sears.
Down to the ground. Mr. Bernstein?
Yes, I did.
Oh, did you? Sorry. Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
Ms. Menzel?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't hear you wrong.
Resolution 2023-51, Jack Morgan, custodian, high school resignation.
Second.
Can I ask a question then?
Mhm.
With, over the course of a few months and a few board meetings, we've had quite a few custodians either resign or step away. Have we done any type of exit interview for these employees, why they're leaving? Because we're replacing so frequently.
Our bus drivers and our custodians, we've had some turnover in there. The ones we've had have gotten, the day shift has been the last couple where it's a first shift. So our last one we had was a second shift employee and they were able to secure a day shift position on the district. So we do have those conversations. That's, I don't want to say the nature of it, but we're working hard to get good, because our custodians are very important, very valuable for us. And, yeah.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Lasky?
Yes.
Mrs. Merrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
Ms. Menzel?
Yes. Resolution 2023-52, Elizabeth Forzik, intervention specialist, middle school resignation.
So moved.
We want to wish Ms. Twardzik well. She's moved into family life, has had a couple kids, and has been on maternity leave, and has finally decided to stay home and raise her family. So very excited for her with that.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
Will this be a position that'll be posted? Replacement?
We're gonna wait and see what happens. So within the next month, we'll know that and where we go and where people move and how we fill our positions.
Mrs. Lasky?
Yes.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Merrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
Ms. Menzel?
Yes. Resolution 2023-53, personnel action, 2023-24 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Lasky?
Yes.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Merrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
Ms. Menzel?
Yes. Resolution 2023-54, consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Lasky?
Yep.
Yes.
Mrs. Merrick?
Yes.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Sears?
Yes.
And Ms. Menzel?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Did anybody have anything they wanted to say or address?
I just want to congratulate Drew and Kyle again. I think knowing both of them since they were small, coaching them in soccer, I think that was the first time Kyle actually smiled. So I was going to say something, but he probably wouldn't have smiled. But I do want to congratulate them. Congratulate all the spring sports, seem to be doing well. And I also want to put a motion to bring last week's weather back for the rest of the year.
I'll second that. Okay, anyone else have anything they'd like to speak of? No? Okay.
I do want to say one thing. I want to thank the people in the audience that came to share how they feel today for being brave enough. It helps us as board members know what the community wants. And so I just appreciate you being here tonight.
Okay. Superintendent's report?
I think we only have 7 weeks left in the 22-23 school year, so it's definitely flown by. I don't know what I think about that late spring break. I think up until everyone hated me, and now they love me, so we made a good call on that schedule. But just a building update, so much going on, so many awesome things going on. So we'll start, Mr. Ebert, you want to talk primary school?
I'm gonna start with the awesome drama club performance of SpongeBob. They did awesome. I'm truly amazed at seeing these second, third, and fourth graders get up there and perform on the big stage again in the sold-out middle school auditorium. They just rocked it out. 4 shows. It was a long weekend. I made a cameo in 2 of the 4. I rocked my line, Oscar worthy. But the kids really just did an excellent job. It was unbelievable. Kindergarten registration, the class of 2036. I know 2036. I'm probably won't be around to see them as seniors, hopefully. But we started that registration. So we got a new group of kindergartners and future graduates of Independence. Had our state test, our first state test in ELA. We'll have math next week. We're doing our benchmarking assessment with iReady. Had an Easter egg hunt before the break, which is always a success. Nordonia was on spring break, so my middle son Tyler got to be the special visitor and pose with the classes that day. Exciting work this weekend, and we have an Eagle Scout project, and they are redoing our middle courtyard. Our garden club is helping out with that, kind of helping us, what plants are which and which flowers we can replant in other areas. So our pond hasn't been working for a long time, so we're going to fill that in and make it a green space where kids can go out and can have class. So Luke has started his Eagle project. We had a bunch of scouts working there this weekend, so we're excited about that. And like Mr. Hager said, we got about, I think, 35 days. Finished the year strong. I can't believe we're here. We're planning for next school year. So that's the update from IPS.
Thanks, Mr. Ebert. Mr. Van, middle school update?
Hey everybody, state testing will start up for the middle school this Thursday. It is ELA. We are going to do parts 1 and 2 on Thursday, and we're just going to have a change in the schedule throughout the day. Next Friday, the 28th, we have Jessie Meinberg. She's a nationally recognized presenter talking on the topic of social media and social media awareness. She's going to speak to all grades 5 through 8, all 4 grades. This is a partnership with Cuyahoga Heights Schools and India Live. With that being said, during this time, she'll be talking about, Jessie's been on everything from CNN to the Today Show. She was very big in presenting with the tragedies that happened in Streetsboro, and she was on the Channel 8 News throughout that. So she's wonderful. With that being said, we're going to have a partnership night, a community night on May 4th here at the high school, where it's going to be combined between Cuyahoga Heights and Independence residents, and quite honestly, anyone, whether you have daughters or sons that graduated, or whether you have babies really young. It is a powerful night, and it's just understanding social media and what areas that we're getting ourselves involved in and caught up in. And the parents that are probably the most influential or the most that can learn the best during this are the younger students that our parents are considering. We give a cell phone. If we give a cell phone, are we permitting social media, and what types of social media? I've got an 11-year-old daughter, and I literally just learned about Roblox and so many other areas that can be an issue. So definitely circle your calendars for that night. Definitely going to be a good night. And like I said, it's a partnership with the city, India Live, and Cuyahoga Heights School. Really, really excited for that.
What time is that, Jamie?
That's at 6 o'clock. Yeah. And, I know Jamie, TJ, and myself have been blasting out on our newsletters. I know that they're going to be putting that in, and the mayor's secretary said she's going to be blasting out for the city piece as well. So we're really, really excited about it. And it's going to be a very powerful night, like I said. Our 7th grade group is traveling to Dearborn, Michigan. Deanna Yarrow is doing a great job organizing it. That's on Thursday, May 25th. We are having our Lunch and Learns return to IMS. During this, we're going to have presentations from multiple community members. We're going to have careers in medicine, NASA, careers in engineering, U.S. Secret Service agents, children's authors, etc. This will be on Wednesday events, and they'll have the opportunity to come, have lunch, we'll provide pizzas and things like that, and listen and learn. And there'll be two presentations each time, 5th and 6th grade and the 7th and 8th grade. May 5th, for those of you that are ready to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, got a big note party here at the middle school. Pretty excited about that. $5 entry fee gets you the first couple games for free. We have our May 10th choir concert, May 12th band concert, and I do want to congratulate our track team who we had our first hosted meet of the year. It was cold. I agree with what you're saying. I was freezing, and but the kids did great. They ran hard, and we beat Lutheran West. I'm learning how to announce. I'm not competing. I'm just learning.
You beat out to the back out, and I said, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking. I was like, all right, we'll give them a week. Bless them, love the pipes, good one. And then I can't stress this enough how excited I am just to see our students in the mornings. Mondays and Wednesdays, our girls are training with 2 new SROs. Officer Troy is training them, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, the boy groups. And he's asked me to come in, so I'm going to start. I did get back into the gym a little bit, and by that I mean 2 days straight. So I told him as long as I'm not going to embarrass myself, I'll be back. And some of our staff members are exercising with the kiddos. And then every Friday we have our yoga stress relief during recess times. So it's really exciting.
Thanks, Mr. Green. Ms. McGee, athletic update?
So the spring season has been one that started out cold, then it was really nice for spring breaks, so we did appreciate that week last week, and then we came back to some snow, but overall, so they missed some games, some baseball, some track, softball games have been missed, but they're all having great seasons. Thanks to everybody who contributed to the rehabbing the baseball field. It looks amazing. If you haven't been down there, definitely looks like a new field down there, and the drainage is a lot better. So, we're going to have as many rainouts this year. Past couple of years, we've had to just cancel games even if it rained 2 days ago. We haven't had to do that this year. So hopefully now the snow just stays away and we can continue playing. Track, we'd also like to thank everybody who worked on our new shot put. We'll be hosting an invitational next week where we're going to do a ribbon cutting over there just to show off that new shot put that was definitely needed. So spring seasons have started and they're going to wrap up real soon with playoffs starting before our next meeting. So stay tuned for more information about that.
Thanks, Ms. McGee. And an outstanding athletic booster reverse raffle. So thanks for everybody who was part of that, helped out, and came to support our student athletes. Mr. Hope, high school update?
So the week before spring break was Hope Week, sponsored by our Hope Squad. We had different themes for each day. Positive stress management was a big emphasis for kids, teaching kids how to cope with their own stress, to alleviate their own anxiety. Again, different themes for each day. The week ended on Thursday where we had a Hope Week assembly. We're getting kids at different activities they could try to do. We had yoga right where we're sitting now. We have things going on in the auditorium, the gymnasium, the field house. And then after our Hope Week assembly, we had the annual I Cried Talent Show, which is capped off by the student video where they poke a little fun at the faculty and have some fun with the teachers. And the last event of the day, right before we left for spring break, was the wrestling match. It was our last LLS fundraiser of the year, where Josh Prohibition Viscera, who's one of our government teachers, wrestled Eric the Red Wolf Taylor in the gymnasium. The kids loved it. It was a lot of fun for everybody. Also that week, on Wednesday, April 5th, Cuyahoga Valley Career Center held their National Tech Honor Society induction ceremony. And we had a bunch of kids. Adrian Byansky for cosmetology, Andrew Becker for engineering technology, Kevin Kursak for health careers, Joseph Walchanowicz for power equipment technology, Amanda Kaufman and McKenna Reedy both in sports medicine, exercise science, and Luke Burmeister in electrical systems were all inducted into the National Tech Honor Society of Cuyahoga Valley, which was kind of neat. And while we're talking Cuyahoga Valley, this Thursday, April 20th, our sophomores that are interested in attending Cuyahoga Valley next year will go over there for a 90-minute orientation. Some of the kids are excited about that. Our vocal ensemble, which earned a superior rating at the OMEA large group, will be performing at the state contest Friday, April 28th. That's next Friday. The day after that, Drew Straub, who we met earlier tonight, will be captaining our academic challenge team on News Channel 5 at 10:30 a.m. The posters around the school. Make sure you set your.
When is that again?
Saturday,
Okay.
April 29th at 10:30 a.m. on Channel 5. We compete against St. John's and Mapleton. And I'm not allowed to tell you how it went. You don't want to know. The day after that, we have a Team Safe Driver program that's being hosted by the Independence Police Department. I've been in our parking lot, and I don't mean to laugh, but we've been in our parking lot, not so much before school, but right at about 2:30, 2:40, you know that this is probably a good thing. Team Safe Driver program hosted by the Independence Police Department, Sunday, April 30th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Students that are registering for it need to have a current driver's license because they're going to actually get in their car and do some things. The Team Safe Driver program is free, but if kids complete it, they will receive a 50% discount, so $25 off their parking permit for next year. We're trying to promote safe driving as much as we can. The prom court assembly will be Tuesday, May 2nd from 8:20 to 9 a.m. I'm excited about that. Prom is May 5th at Sun Valley in Sugar Falls-ish, not really in Sugar Falls, but near Sugar Falls. Jamie mentioned the social media awareness night with Jesse Weinberg in the auditorium here on May 4th. And then finally on Saturday, May 13th, our Actively Caring for People group will be hosting their second annual Out of Darkness Walk for suicide awareness.
Also worth mentioning, Mr. Hogan, I appreciate the shout out to the Career Center. Our CVCC, the Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, on May 3rd is having their senior recognition night for all 8 districts. They're hosting it here. So they reached out and said, hey, any chance we could use your auditorium? We love the facilities you guys have. So pretty excited to be able to host our Career Center and really recognize the outstanding programs and be a partner for them in that.
Mr. Ho, can you touch on the red carpet, what time the event starts here at the school for red carpet? Parents are asking.
Call
5
us.
o'clock?
Red carpet starts at 5?
It's Mr. Riley.
I think it is 4:30 to 5, I think 5 o'clock. It is. Yeah. What time can you get here? I won't start announcing to you.
We'll get those details out, right, in your next update? All right, thanks.
Will we be serving margaritas? Because it's single on
We have to do them right across, right in the McGreevy's house, right? And you guys are right across the street. Just kidding, just kidding.
Feel free.
Mr. Pennington?
You can't go out of order, I always go last, that's important. Wait, I gotta move the camera so I can actually see myself speak. So I can live stream. Hi, everyone. I was adding it up, and it's only been 2 weeks of school since we saw you last, because our last board meeting was later. Because I was feeling in my update like I don't do anything, because it's not very long. Still got my pay. It was a good spring break, the tech guys were in. We had a minor software bug on the new MacBooks for the teachers, so we had the teachers leave their MacBooks at school, most of them did. Awkwardly staring. So we got those fixed. I will say that it's nice. There's so many teachers kept texting wanting to come in to get them to work on school stuff over spring break, which both worries me and mental health, and makes me proud that they're putting that much effort into the end of the year and finishing strong. So we got everything done and good and back to teachers as quick as possible. Also over break, we installed a new Huddle live streaming camera out in the stadium. So we installed one. This is McGee and myself earlier in the year in the gym. Not only will this help us more actively stream events, but it ties in with the Huddle app that most of our coaches use for breaking down film and things like that. So we're eliminating some processes and cleaning up some logistics.
Does that have some? Does that pick up?
Yes.
Okay, watch one more of the guys up in the.
Oh, and the perspective, you guys want to do it?
Yeah.
There might be a mute. They get really excited when I get
Control the mute.
We might make a gym of mute. I will say, yeah, I don't have the specific numbers on how many people watch our live stream events for sports, because that doesn't feed the many systems I have. But I can tell you that for IPS's drama productions last weekend, we had over 1,000 people watch that live by putting the links up. So we're slowly starting to do more live streaming of events, especially at the primary school because of parking and just trying to get all the grandparents and parents in and involved. So it's great to see people taking advantage of that and still seeing their kiddos and their grandkiddos participate, be recognized, would be awesome here in the school. Speaking of live streaming things, I've been working with Mrs. P at the middle school to get back on course for live streaming our announcements in the morning. The piece of hardware and software we use for that was discontinued by the manufacturer. They unlicensed us, if that's a term, and sent me a snippy email about it. So we've been working through those bugs. Our kids have been coming in early and staying late to actually pre-record announcements that they do to get them on. The reason we're taking our time is, they announce kids' birthdays and they use names. So we want to make sure that we're not just throwing that out into the public eye, since we have kids under the age of 13 in our middle school. So we're being careful about how we do that to get it going. But those kids who will be graduating up to the high school and bringing their expertise with them are just doing some awesome things at creating snippets. They've been interviewing coaches and different individuals and been making cool stuff, especially to see. Finally, I know it's ironic. Someone mentioned earlier, 8th graders not coming up to the high school, whatever. The board had reached out to me to look at those numbers specifically. And I'm going to take credit for this, but Mr. Vanek did most of the work in exit interviews with students and really digging in as our kids decide if they're going to go. Bless you. To a different high school. So currently, I think our 8th grade class is 76, 72-ish. We have 18 8th graders who won't be attending freshman year so far at Independence High School. 4 of those students are playing sports we don't offer. Hockey, field hockey, I think we're the 2, or lacrosse. 5 of those students have brothers and sisters and or parents working at a different private school already, either going there or working there. 2 are going specifically for football. We have 1 basketball, 1 baseball, 1 softball, and 4 that we didn't give reasons to. So it breaks down to 10 boys and 8 girls as of now. Again, they've just kind of said that they're going. We don't know if they will or not. We've had a couple return this year that were at private schools, so there's usually some fluctuation in that. There is no process for leaving a public school. I mean, anytime you want to leave, you can just leave and go. So exit interview or getting a grip on that isn't always the easiest thing. A lot of families wait till summer to make those decisions. I'll defer to Mr. Hegdish, because I know if you want to talk about your survey or sending home.
Yeah, relevant point, thanks for bringing that up. Our student life committee, we have a couple board members on, principals are part of, Ms. McCullough, Ms. McGee, tend to run those. We meet a few times during the year and talk about school. I would say the non-academic opportunities for kids. So you've got your sports in there, you've got your clubs, you've got your activities, your fine arts, and just the overall student experience. We believe that's a really important part of what we do for the Independence Local Schools. That a lot happens in the classrooms, and a lot of equally as important things happen outside of the classrooms. And so at our last couple of student life meetings, we've noticed typically, and I only have an 11-year look back in Independence, but the data that I have from having been the middle school principal and then the superintendent for the last 8 years, we traditionally have had between 5 and 10% of our student body go to parochial schools when they left. Oftentimes there was a legacy situation. My grandpa and my dad all went to fill in the blank school, and I will as well. Wish you well. I always would say we are going to leave a full ride opportunity for you to come back. And had a great relationship with families as they chose to do that. Sometimes they did come back, and we celebrated that. So we also at that time would typically pick up a few students who were residents in Independence who came to Independence High School to go to high school. So it ended up being, I don't want to say quite a wash, but less than 5% of a decrease in our number from 8th grade to the next year in 9th grade. Some years we picked up more kids than we lost. We have seen a trend, and this is not just Independence, it is Independence, it's other districts as well, an increase in parochial school enrollment. I think COVID and specifically shutdowns and masking, and that triggered a lot of that. Last year we had 10 students that we saw from our 8th to 9th grade class go. As Mr. Pennington mentioned, we have 18 now that are on there. It's on our radar. That's not something we're excited about. It's an issue. And we do have an anonymous with the opportunity for people to give input and reach out for more questions. I think, or I hope it's a pretty in-depth survey. We'll be sending that to all of our 5th, 6th, and 7th grade families to give me input on that. I understand if you're love hockey and want to play hockey, and that's what, you know, we probably collectively aren't going to be able to do much about that other than adding a hockey team and finding, you know, I don't know that that's a feasible type of situation. But if there's something we're not doing, if there's programming we don't have or connections we're not making, we need to know that. And we need to look at that as an opportunity for improvement. You know, so that's all part of us just doing a continuous look at what we're doing, what we're offering, what's good, what's not good, what can we grow, what can we improve. So that'll be, Mr. Vanek's going to be sharing that in his community update, his parent update, I would say beginning of May, and us starting to look at that data and taking a hard look at what we're doing. I know Mr. Vanek and Mr. Logue and Ms. McGee have, especially this year and especially moving into next year, wanted to make sure we have very fluid transitional processes in place where we're marketing to our own, we're sharing with our own. The parochial schools are very good at marketing. And they're marketing our kids. And 10 years ago, that wasn't necessarily the case, and now it is. And school choice, I'm a fan of school choice. I also hope that we're always the school of choice. And so how can we make sure we're growing our programming, have great opportunities for kids, celebrate those successes, share and communicate those successes. We're putting together some video series, some state of the schools, some celebrate your independence type of things that I think are, it's time for us to improve in those communication strategies. So it's a real issue that we're looking at. We'll continue those discussions and even review the survey through our student life committee. So I know, is it Carrie and Andrea are my kind of superintendent reps on that committee. You guys will have a chance to report back to the board. I'll share that survey data. Want to be very transparent about that and look at what we're doing. That'll be important for our leadership team to formatively, look and inform our practices and what we're doing going forward.
Can I ask a question on that, just a quick one?
I guess.
I'll make it quick. It sounds like hard data. The rumor going around that those kids are not coming here is for, I'll say broadly, a cultural reason.
Well, that's honest. I have that in my survey. So I have those questions.
I understand that, but what I'm hearing is the bulk of it, I'll say legitimate. You don't have hockey, kid wants to play hockey, I get that, okay? The bulk of it, of what I'm hearing, is that there's legitimate reasons that services that are outside of your control. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say, and you're talking to Mr. Vanek, because, we love our kids here, we want to keep them, and he makes an effort to be like, why did you leave, why did you stay, be a part of it? And yeah, a lot of them, I would say, have legitimate reasons when we ask them. There'll always be what's in the public and what it really, when you talk to that kid or that family, they say, and balancing those two things. So like an individual like yourself, about kids in the district that have one reality or perception of why kids are leaving, and then to hear why they might actually be leaving.
Well, there's a disconnect. I'm just sharing with you a disconnect.
I definitely need to find that out. So I've heard because we care about sports too much. I've heard because we don't care about sports enough.
Okay.
I've heard, so that we have hunches. We all
You're
have
gonna
hunches.
have the color of the wall. You're gonna get all
I'm
these.
a fresh paint.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I'm gonna find that out. And I will.
Is a cultural based problem. It's a perception of the tyranny of the minority.
That's a hunch. And hunches are a starting point.
And
So I'll
saying
get
I
it.
have limited data, but I'm sharing this with you because that tyranny of the minority is not something I say lightly.
When I get my data, I'm gonna call you and we'll go over it.
Okay.
I'm serious.
And I will say too, so I live in Willoughby, East Lake City School, it's about 7,200 kids, 13 buildings, same rumors, same ideas about kids leaving the district or choosing to stay. So it happens in all communities. I think we're lucky here because of our size that we can be kind of nonchalant how we do our board meetings. Like if you're Willoughby East Lake, you wouldn't be able to ask a question. It would just keep going. So we need to take advantage of that. I think we're trying to do that as much as we can to bring the community back.
And these are anonymous surveys too, of course, I'm assuming.
I will be doing the survey. I'll be doing the survey anonymous with the opportunity for people to leave contact information if they want to follow them. So.
Thank you.
Okay, keep going.
That's Mr. Pennington. Ms. Kane?
Well, I don't have too much. We have bus inspections coming this Friday, which I can guarantee you will not be like Geneva and Lake. Homeland Security has done 2 trainings with our drivers within the past, since our past meeting actually. So just to bring, to make them more aware of things, around the buses, as they're driving, stuff like that. Email is going to be going out to parents within the next few weeks through Constant Contact, so they can opt in for busing. We've done that the past 2 years and it works out great because we have a number to work with. Instead of having 120 kids scheduled on a bus and only, 30 ride. So it's a big help. And our new spring menus are gonna be out on May 1st. And I'll be attending a child food nutrition conference tomorrow and Thursday. And hopefully collaborate with some other people all around Ohio on, different menu ideas and stuff. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. King. Ms. McCall?
Thank you. Yeah, I just have a quick update on Panorama. So we did the certified staff survey prior to spring break. And the classified staff survey is going to go out this week. And then when we collect that data, we're going to look, just as we are with the students, we're going to look at the data and look at the playbook and try and support our staff as best we can with the information that we receive from the surveys. And then our final student survey will be going out between April 27th and May 12th. And our next student life committee meeting is the 17th of May. So we will be reviewing all that data at that committee meeting and discussing the next step.
Sandy, will we be able to see that survey results?
Yeah, they're immediate. As soon as we close the survey, we might have to leave it open a couple extra days. We might be closing it the day before we meet, but we can see it immediately.
Thank you.
Sandy, how many questions did you bring it to? There were over 60 questions when we met last. Did you break it down?
For the staff?
The staff, yes.
Yeah, I think it was about 52. But it really, I had a meeting today, someone forgot to do it, and it took her, she's like, I want to do it right away. It took her 10 minutes. If you wanted to add more comments, that would take a little bit of time, but just answering your questions was pretty quick.
Cindy, can I ask, how many preschoolers, and I should have asked you, how many kindergartners signed up? What does it look like?
As of right now?
Yeah.
62 as of yesterday. So, and we will always get a last minute push,
Right.
especially in summer, because people forget and things like that. So we'll probably right in line with what our numbers have been, except for the current second grade class, which is 5 sections. So we'll hope to have 4 again.
And we had 29 peer applications. Some we are recommending evaluations, and we sent out acceptance letters. We haven't gotten all the responses back, so I'll have a better number next time. I'll send you an email.
How many peers can be in this district?
You know what, I'll get that specific number to you. We don't 100% know. We anticipate 25 to 30 students go to kindergarten, but depending on their ages, some of the parents haven't made that decision yet. So we typically try and usually are able to accommodate most of our applicants.
Thanks, Ms. McCall. Mr. Drown?
I got 2 things, just kind of update, if you will, surrounding around safety. So we have recently kind of updated our radios. It sounds, I think the simplest ideas are always the best, but we've all experienced being on walkie-talkies of some sort. When someone's talking, the other person can't talk and so forth. And so we updated our system here 5 years ago to where buses could communicate with the buildings and not get lost throughout the city and so forth. But each school district, each school and the bus drivers had their own stations. Channel 1's the bus driver, channel 2 is whatever, 3, 4, 5. Well, now we have the capability that if there's something going on in the district, if we have a lockdown at one of the buildings, we have basically an overarching channel that some radios are going to be programmed to be able to go so that all buildings work here. Communication has come out as one of the areas that we really want to keep making sure we improve upon through our safety committee. And this is another way in which we can communicate with all buildings. And you don't just have to be on that channel. So once again, I'm reporting on something I'm really excited about. And everyone else is like, oh, great, Tom, thanks. Another thing that we're in the process of doing right now is examining our buildings. We're going to be tested here in a couple weeks to find what they call dead spots in a building. And it's a new law out here that says we would need to put bidirectional antennas inside the buildings to allow for first responders come into a building, the best example is the middle school. I mean, you've got that big square basically. And when they come through one, to be able to communicate with their radios, the walls being built as they are with, you know, cinder block, sometimes there are dead spots that they can't communicate with other radios or other people in the building. And so we're going to be tested, and you're going to start hearing about it in other school districts. We're actually one of the first districts that are going to be tested in this area. And just kind of find it, and then we'll put the antenna in so that there's flawless communication. Again, that theme of communication, of being able to communicate in an instant. You can't rely on cell phones in an emergency situation. The bandwidth dries up quickly. Your cell phones will not work. And so we have to have the tools in place so that we can really communicate as much as we need to. So that was it.
What type of device are the staff using for communication if there was a lockdown? Is it their mobile personal phones?
Right now, we have a number of radios in the building. Each staff member does not have that. The Remind apps that they're using for texting and so forth to get through there. But the bandwidth to actually communicate is what the biggest, that dries up quickly. So I am looking into some other things that are available right now, but they're kind of fresh out. There's these cards that you can go ahead and hold down. There's an app on your phone that will communicate from a geofencing area. I've had this campus looked at where you would hold on to an app, you would hold it a certain number of times, and then something would come up saying, what's wrong? And it could be anything from there's an intruder in the building to I have a kid who's sick. And so it kind of explains there's a lot of options out there right now. So we're kind of pick and choose.
We have the hardware telephone in each classroom still too, as well. So each
Yeah.
teacher has an extension and a way to call out or call the office, so those are still there.
And then in each building, there's what we call a Marks radio. If there's an emergency situation, that button's popped and it becomes instantly live with the police department.
So there's not a phone or they're not wearing any type of device during the day, our staff. You're relying on the mobile phone with a Remind app.
And you're kind of speaking of one of the things that are out there about things that you can wear around a neck, or you could even have these like credit card type things that you just hold on to. There are a lot of different options popping up lately about that. And so continuing to look at that with our safety committee as well to kind of find out what might work for us and what.
We have PA systems. I mean, the PA is a main way, but then the phones are the backups on that.
I think she's talking specifically about instant communication inside a classroom that would happen. And so there are three options as of right now. You've got the hardwired thing, you've got the buzz in the office, and you've got your cell phone, which either on Remind or just basic texting. So there are, but the question is whether we can come up with something that's even more efficient. So that's kind of where we're looking from there. Same thing we examined 4 years ago when we were talking about a rally point and being able to identify who arrived at the rally point instead of having a list of the old school way was having an attendance list and check where's Tom Dryling, where's Andrew, and in chaos, it's going to be really hard to control that sort of.
So does our staff, do we have charging stations in their classroom for their mobile phone to make sure they're charged, like in that 8-hour or 10-hour period that we can get for their desktop?
So we don't regulate whether a staff member has a phone in their office, in their classroom or not. That's on them. They have that as an option to use that as a resource, but they do have the hardwire phone in there and that as well as the PA system that they have.
My concern would be if their charge on their phone is not charged and there was we want to be ahead of it. So my goal would have discussion if we can get those chargers on the desktop that they could just put there to keep their phones charged at all times.
I gotta get them to stop losing their computer chargers first when they don't have to replace those. Most of the teachers, I will say, none of the teachers here ever use anything on. Most of the teachers, I will say, if you walk in the classroom, they have their USB cable hooked up to their computer and they're sharing their phones.
I like it to be universal. Maybe we could talk about that for the upcoming school
The
year.
kids over there,
Yeah.
no, I'm kidding.
With the dock charges for their desk.
I understand what you're
Yeah.
asking. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, just a few quick updates then. Just a reminder, Board of Education on the 25th, I want to confirm our time of 5 p.m. That'll be executive session for legal updates, legal counsel. And then I wanted to confirm, because I know we tweaked this a little bit, but Eric and I wanted to make sure we get our details. Our May work session is going to be the 11th of May. Is that accurate? Does everybody have that? Anybody?
I have the 10th.
The 10th?
But I.
Was it the 10th? Okay, I wasn't, that's what we were trying to figure out if we had written that down. Was it the 10th or the 11th? Did anybody put it in?
I have the 10th.
The 10th, okay. And that was did we say 5 or 6 on that one?
6.
6 PM. Okay, I apologize for having to clarify that. And there's no action at either of those meetings. And again, the 25th is strictly executive session. The 10th will be open session. Again, our academic excellence dinner, really excited about that. Some new formatting. Darlene Graham has put a lot of work in. Ron, I know you're serving as our MC with that one, so does a great job there. We want to keep the integrity of that and recognize our kids. We have a few more this year. We got great gifts and the dinner and bringing parents in, and hopefully we can keep that's one of my absolute favorite nights of the whole school year. Really excited about like I mentioned, our video production, State of the Schools video coming out soon. Should have been out by now. Videotaping's taking part of that thought. We've got kids involved in that. Our principals have been involved. We spent time with the schools. We've got drones coming out and doing footage. So I think it's gonna be pretty neat. We're also gonna be developing some videos that are launching over the summer and during the school year. Just doing a really good job with our marketing and our communications on that. And 7 weeks left. So excited about finishing strong. A lot of great opportunities coming up for kids. And to everybody here, I appreciate you guys coming. I appreciate talking. I don't mind challenging conversations and getting the feedback. I hope you don't feel as if I shut you down. We don't ever want to be Q&A back and forth, but we always want to answer your questions. And so, Mr. Zubik, even your question about, I was like, I'm gonna get your number, call you back. If you have questions for Mr. Hogue, for me, for anybody here, like we will spend our time doing that. I'll meet anybody. It's easier for me. I'll meet you at Babes and buy you a cup of coffee and we'll talk and do that. I know Mr. Hogue can't do that during the day as easily as I can. But we want to answer those questions. I just want to make sure we're doing that in a setting where we can give you the attention and give you good answers and spend the time listening. So I never want to shut that down. So please feel free to stick around after, ask anything further for any of our administrators here. We're here, we're public servants. That's why we're here. And we want to be able to work through everything we can. Thanks for coming. Thanks for talking. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for being part of our school community.
Have a motion to adjourn?
So.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Oh, anyway, second.
Yeah.